Hi guys, we're back with another wrestling related YouTube video. This time we're talking about who we think are the best wrestlers in the whole world. Starting from A to Z, we're going to go through every single letter. We're going to talk about wrestlers that perhaps are not wrestling anymore, who are wrestling, could be from any promotion like WWE, AEW, TNA, even to our local wrestling shows, so like VCW, whatever, Dragon Pro Kingdom, that's what we watch, like loads of wrestling shows like that. So we've done it before, we've done just WWE, we're doing this again now for all the wrestling promotions across the world, alive or dead. Here we go. Should we kick off with A? What we did before was Alex and me, we agreed this time we're picking our own. Is that right?
Yeah, because last time also we knew each other's picks. This time we don't.
Okay. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Up to you.
Okay, I'll start. And we're going to go with letter A. There was two that I had in mind here, and I went for Andre the Giant because he's like one of the most famous. But then AJ Styles because he's done it across so many different promotions over a long period of time. So my favourite, best wrestler for letter A is AJ Styles.
Do you think we're twins on this one?
Yes, I think you'll go for the same one.
I was going to go with Adam Cole or Alexander Vane.
Okay.
But I did not. I went with AJ Styles.
You went with AJ Styles?
Yeah.
I was going to go for Adam Carter, also known as Adam Crater, but he sucks. So I went with AJ Styles. We both went with AJ Styles. Okay, cool. Moving on to letter B. There's quite a few here as well.
I don't think we'll be twins on this one.
No, so there was a list of a few that I had. So British Bulldog, Bret Hitman Hart, Batista, Brock Lesnar. There's some new ones coming up as well that are all great. But for me, the best wrestler, my favourite wrestler when I was a kid, is Bret Hart.
Okay, so here's the thing. I was going to go with Bret Hart. I was either going to go with Bret Hart, Braun Breaker, Braun Strowman, or the person I ended up picking. But I went with one of my favourite wrestlers of all time, Brock Lesnar.
You went with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, staying with WWE.
Yeah, cool. And let's move on to the letter C. So again, a few different ones here. For me, there's only one, but I can understand why there'd be different ones. So we had C, who went for Chyna, who was like amazing because she was just like different. She was the first ever woman to win the Intercontinental title.
She won it twice, didn't she?
She won it twice. I think she was the first ever woman to enter the men's Royal Rumble as well, I think. Wow. You also have CM Punk, who's really like big and famous, but the only one that was ever going to win for me was Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
What about you?
I was going to go with Chris Jericho, but I just couldn't. I was either going Cody, Chris, Charlotte Flair, or the person I ended up picking. I went with CM Punk.
You went with CM Punk. Okay, good choice, but we don't agree on that one. D, let's move on to the letter D.
I think we're twins on this one.
Do you think? So for me, there was a choice of two, so Daniel Bryan or Drew McIntyre. So both had brilliant careers in WWE and have done other stuff in other promotions as well. But my favourite, just because of the way he is at the moment as well, definitely for me, the letter D would be Drew McIntyre. What about you, Alex?
We're twins on this one. I'm Drew.
You're going for Drew as well. Here we go. Double up for Drew.
From the UK, like us.
And then the letter E. So for me, again, there was two. So the one that sticks out the most would be Eddie Guerrero, just because of like how great he was. He just did some fantastic moves, really, really good character, quite funny as well. But the winner for E for me would be Edge, the rated R superstar. Edge definitely would be the letter E. And you?
I guess we're twins.
You were going for Edge as well?
Again.
Did you have any more for E?
I was going to go Eddie as well, but I went with Edge.
You just went with Edge. Okay, cool. Moving on for F. So it's quite a difficult one, F. I struggled with thinking of wrestlers for F.
I had 3.
You had 3, but I only had 1. So I just, straight off the bat, for me, best wrestler, favourite wrestler for F, Finn Balor.
Okay, I was going to go with Fandango or The Fiend, but I went with Finn Balor.
Fandango. Okay. Finn Balor, we both agree for F, although a random Fandango got in there. Moving on to the letter G. So again, two for me, two that sticks out, one more recent, one not so much. And the one that's not so much recent is Goldberg. Even though I don't think he was like a brilliant wrestler, he had obviously like a really big aura about him in his WCW days where he had that massive undefeated streak. But for me, the letter G is going to have to be Gunther.
Yeah,
so he's been champion for so long in NXT UK. He was champion for so long with the Intercontinental Championship, and he's now the world champion as well. So yeah, he's a great wrestler, and he's got a great presence about him. So I think for the letter G, I'm going to go for Gunther. You?
Okay, so my favourite wrestler is not on this list, but he was, I bet you'll be shocked when I say who my favourite wrestler is. I even picked him in the 3 people that I was going to go with.
I can't be any more shocked than Fandango for F, so you're okay.
Are you sure that Grayson Waller done shock you?
Grayson Waller shocked me a little bit, yeah. But he is good, Grayson Waller, but he still needs to be around for a long time before he can be the greatest. But who are you going for G?
I was going to go with Goldberg, but I went with Gunther.
You went with Gunther too?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on swiftly to H. Nice, easy one. There's no one. There's a few that you could say for H, like Honky Tonk Man, for example, greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. But it's easily Hulk Hogan. Nobody matches Hulk Hogan for H. Have you got H for Hogan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hogan for H. It's great. Moving on then to I, nice and quickly. There was only 2 really that came to mind. Neither of these are hugely popular, but we had IRS from Money Inc. or Iron Sheik for me. And just because of the Iron Sheik's presence and just he's quite famous and he's quite funny on social media, I went for the Iron Sheik for I.
Okay, I had quite a lot of picks for I. I was either going to go with Ivar, IRS, Io Sky, or Iron Sheik.
Okay.
Or the person that I ended up picking, which was Ilya Dragunov.
Ilya Dragunov, yeah, good pick. Really good wrestler, but for me, he just needs to do a bit more before he can be classed as one of those. Moving on to J. Okay, J, I think we're going to pick the same for J.
Yeah.
This is quite straightforward. Jeff Hardy came to mind for me. I did like Jeff, especially as a kid growing up. Jeff's moves were amazing, him and his brother Matt. But easily the greatest wrestler of all time, beginning with J, is John Cena, definitely.
I had loads of good options for J. I had 6 options for J.
Okay.
I had John Cena, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, John Moxley, James Ellis, and Josh Holley. They were the people that were my options.
Yeah.
But I went with John Cena.
You went with John Cena. I mean, you can't even compare anybody else. Josh Holley, the modern classic. James Ellis, brilliance, baby.
Well,
John
why did
Cena.
you go to Josh Holley? He's got 4 belts right now.
But he ain't no John Cena. Let's move on to K. K, for me, there was a couple that spring to mind. So I had Kofi Kingston. He's been around for such a long time. He's done loads of different things. He's a great entertainer. And as a kid, I used to be petrified of Kane. So he had to have a mention for K. But easily for me would be, the winner is the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle for K.
Okay.
What about you?
I didn't have enough room to put Kofi on there because I had way too many wrestlers for K.
Okay.
But I went with the Wales side of things. I went with Kenny Mantra.
Kenny Mantra, of course, yeah, the heartbeat of professional wrestling. Absolutely fantastic wrestler.
Over 100 days of being the No Mercy Legacy champion.
Excellent. And that's what you went for K. Interesting. Shout out to Kenny Mantra, pro wrestler there. Moving on then to L. This was quite a tricky one for me. Yeah, because I didn't really know any beginning with L. So I got my first, I think this is my first female in the list of Lita. I was quite used to enjoy Lita's moves when she was knocking around in WWE. But I went for one that perhaps not a lot of people will hear of, but they definitely will hear of him soon because he's only 17 years old. He is absolutely amazing. We love watching him. We have quite a bit of his merch already.
Yeah.
We're probably going to buy more. And he is Leon Cage. Remember that name, Leon Cage. He's going to be a superstar, definitely. That was my pick for L. And you?
You picked Lita?
No, I picked Leon.
Oh,
Leon Cage, yeah.
I had a lot of options for L. I was either going to go with Leon Cage, Liam Brando, Lex Luger, Logan Paul or LA Knight. But I went with Leon Cage too.
You went with Leon Cage too because he is an absolute superstar. If you haven't seen him in action, just Google him, search for him on social media. You will see some amazing moves and matches. So moving on then to the letter M. So 2 people I had in mind, both older, both unfortunately no longer with us. But for me, it was either the Macho Man Randy Savage or Mr. Perfect. I loved both as a kid growing up, but I'd have to give it to Macho Man. Definitely my pick for M would be Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay, I just had 2 like amazing wrestlers. I didn't even come to those 2 because I was like, there's no one else. I couldn't think of anybody else. I just went straight to those 2 wrestlers. I was either going to go with Mick Foley, who was the choice of my heart, but I went with MJF here.
You went with MJF from
the
AEW?
Longest reigning AEW World Champion.
Okay, interesting
406 days.
Moving on then to N. Again, I didn't really know any for N, but then one sort of stood out for me just because of how long she's been around, all the matches she's been in. She's an absolute brilliant wrestler. And for me, N would be Natalia. And you?
I had 3 options. I was either going to go with Nick Wayne, Nick Nemeth, or Nia Jax. I went with Nick Nemeth, the TNA champion.
Good shout, yeah, Nick Nemeth. Probably better known as Dolph Ziggler. So as a career, he's had a better career as Dolph Ziggler, but now known by his real name is Nick Nemeth. So, okay, good shout. For me, easily number 1 pick. The only thing that even come to mind was Owen Hart. Simple as that. No other O's come close. And if you say anything different, then we'll probably have to end this video.
Okay. So I was either going to go with Omos, which I would never pick Omos. Never pick Otis. Owen Hart I could have went with. I could have went with Orange Cassidy, but I went with Owen Hart.
You went with Owen Hart.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you went with Owen Hart. Moving on to P. I struggled with P, so I sort of went outside the box a little bit and I chose a manager because he's so iconic. And the first name that came to mind when I sprung up with P was Paul Bearer. Absolute amazing manager, and yeah, easily the best for me. Best manager of all time, the greatest Paul Bearer for P.
Oh, don't think you thought he was the best manager of all time.
Yeah.
I had 2 options. I was either going to go with Penta or Pac, but I went with Pac.
You remember Pac in AEW? Formerly known as Neville in WWE.
Yeah.
He's now part of the Death Triangle, I think they're called.
No. Death Riders.
Death Riders, yeah.
It used to be part of Death Triangle with Penta.
Right, okay.
And I was going to go with Penta. They're in the same group, so that's quite confusing.
Very confusing. Okay, letter Q. This was really hard for me because I couldn't even think of anyone with Q. So again, I went slightly outside the box. I went with a tag team that I know from when I was a kid growing up, and it's the Quebecers. They were the only ones that come to mind for Q, so I had to go for Quebecers. You?
I don't know either of these. I've just heard of them. Queen Charmel and Quicksilver. I went with Quicksilver because I just noticed that he was a wrestler, not Queen Charmel.
Okay, so we kind of just lucked out on Q. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both
Moving
thinking Q is hard.
Q is very hard.
Uh-huh.
One that is even harder because there is so much choice is the letter R. So the letter R, you have The Rock, Rob Van Dam, Razor Ramon, Ric Flair, Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, Rey Mysterio. Am I missing anyone?
I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
If you could think of anyone else with the letter R, pop into the comments.
I know someone, but nobody will ever pick him.
Who?
Razor.
Razor, yeah, nobody would ever pick
No.
him. You're all right. So it was a really tough one because they're all so good. And I used to love Razor Ramon as a kid. Randy Orton is amazing. Roman Reigns, Tribal Chief, brilliant. Easily though for me, the best, just because everything. Rey Mysterio. I had to pick Rey because he is just
your favourite wrestler of all time.
My favourite wrestler of all time. Always will be, definitely Rey Mysterio.
I was either going to go with Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Roman Reigns, or The Rock, but I went with The Rock.
You went with The Rock? So why did you go with The Rock?
Because, I don't like him anymore, to be honest. With the new little final boss thing.
Yeah.
He's just... I do not like him. But back when he was, quite younger, I liked him a lot.
Okay.
Because I like that vision of him.
Good. Another tough one, S. So letter S for me, there was a couple. Shawn Michaels, Seth Rollins more recently, but easily for me is Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin, beginning with S. Probably, arguably, the greatest wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd have to go for Steve Austin for S. And you?
One of my favourite wrestlers of all time, I didn't have enough room to put on the S category. So I was either going to go with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Sami Zayn or Sheamus. If I didn't have Sami Zayn on there, I would have put Seth Rollins there. But I didn't have enough room to put Seth on there.
Who are you going with for S?
I went with Stone Cold.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, yeah. Pretty sure that would be the same. I think we might have the same for T as well. I threw a cheeky Trish Stratus in there. I thought, she was pretty decent. She was quite iconic for her time. She had some great matches. But for me, easily would be the Game, Triple H for T.
I had two retired people for my options. The Machine Titan and Triple H. But I went with Triple H.
You went with Triple H.
Yeah,
also.
the Game.
Okay. I think the U letter is again something that's pretty solid. I think we're going to have the same. I'd be very surprised if we don't. The Ultimate Warrior was in there for me. He was coming up to what I think could be close to this one, but at the end of the day, the Undertaker is easily the most amazing wrestler, and for you is the only one really. Yeah, for you.
I did not spell Ultimate Warrior, so I couldn't write him on my list. So I didn't put him on my list. He would have been on there if I could have spelled him, but I couldn't spell his name. There was two options for me: The Undertaker and Umaga, but I went with The Undertaker.
Yeah, definitely.
The Dead Man.
The Dead Man. And then moving on to the letter V. Not many around with V, but one that sort of stood out easily for me was Vader. V. You?
I was either going to go with Vince McMahon or Vader, but I went with Vader too.
You went with Vader too?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then moving on to W. So there was a couple from W for me. Three I've got in mind for W. They're all from the UK as well, all from England, which is really strange. So we've got the current one, which is Will Ospreay. He's brilliant in AEW, really good. We saw him at AEW Live, didn't we? When we went to watch
when we went to Dynamite.
And he was awesome.
Yeah.
The other one then being Wade Barrett. I quite enjoyed Wade Barrett as a commentator as well now, moving into his new role. But for me, the longest one that I've known, and I used to enjoy watching him.
I know you're going.
Such a bad guy, really bad, but really funny in his commissioner role. Just could do any kind of role he wanted, and that's William Regal.
Yeah, I knew you would pick him. For W, I had two people from England. I don't know if the other one's from England, but two from AEW as well. I was either going to go with William Regal, Waldo, or Will Ospreay, but I ended up going with Will Ospreay.
You went for Will Ospreay. You're a big fan of Will Ospreay and your brother.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving then to X, easy for me as a child, as a teen growing up. DX was my favourite group. Used to love D-Generation X, so I went for X-Pac.
Yeah, X-Pac.
X-Pac for you too? Nice and easy one. So we're getting now towards the end, and why, again, growing up, there's only one really for why, but growing up, I used to be petrified of this guy. He was huge, and he used to sit on people all the time. Yokozuna is easly, the huge Yokozuna.
Yoko.
And then finally, Z, not many again to choose from, had Zeus, who perhaps wasn't such a great wrestler, but the only one I could think of. But switching to the modern day, I love her moves, her matches are really good. For Z, I went for Zelina Vega. You?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would have probably not gone with Zeus, but I couldn't think of anybody for Z. Zeus didn't come to mind. But I did have three options. Zelina Vega, Zachary Wentz, I think that was his name, and Zack Ryder. But I went with Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder.
Good choice, I suppose, yeah. Now known as Matt Cardona, his real name. Zack Ryder in WWE, but yeah, good. So there we have it. That is a list, 26 different wrestlers each. Some we agree on, some we don't. We had some fun putting these together, didn't we? We love talking about wrestling. If you agree with any of our suggestions or if you disagree, pop them into the comments down below. And also don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. We'd love to see those popping through, wouldn't we? We love talking about wrestling. We'll post some more content soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Bye bye.